the Vikings defense absolutely stifling, dominating the league, forcing pressures, turnovers, left and right. Let's take a look at some film here versus the Packers from this last weekend to figure out exactly why. Alright, so, and with all the plays I'm going to analyze today, we're going to do this. You're going to just take a look at the play at full speed, analyze it yourself, and then we're going to break down exactly what happens. So take a look before we get into breaking it down. So first thing we got to take a look at is that we have 6 potential blitzers on this play. And we can identify at 6 because, albeit that the slot defender is very close to the line of scrimmage over here on the left side, well, we can very easily identify that there's no way he's going to be blitzing, because if he were blitzing, that would be a huge liability, a huge amount of space for the slot receiver to get instantly open on a fade, drag, curl, whatever, right? So we can identify that that's just not going to be the case. So the 2 DBs playing left side of the field are going to be in some type of coverage scenario, whether it's right man, zone. But with that being said, also, we can also kind of identify right off the bat that we're very likely looking at a zone coverage. Well, why you say? Because, again, you can just look at the alignment here and say that the leverage they'd be playing with has no bearing on really being an effective man coverage at this point. Now, back to the blitzers here, because we have 6 guys we have to account for. The big problem with the Vikings defense and what makes it hell for quarterbacks is we're trying to figure out right now, okay, who is going to be coming and who's going. And that's been the recipe all season. That's where they're, eating offense alive. But moreover here, we can already immediately look and we're seeing the safety is moving over here. And that's already causing problems because, well, what are they going to rotate to? Are they going to rotate to a cover 6? Are they rotating to cover 2? Are they going to rotate back to a cover 3? And is Harrison Smith going to come bite back down here? Well, again, all these questions are questions you have to answer as a quarterback, and that's what makes it so tough to identify. And that's just all stuff we're looking at pre-snap. So now that we've taken a look at what we have to identify pre-snap, let's figure out what's going to happen when this play comes in motion and what went wrong for the Packers here. So we're going to watch this play over and over here sometimes. What you're going to realize is immediately, boom, post-snap, we're rotating to a cover 2. You might be asking, how can we identify that this is a cover 2 rotation? Well, I'm going to explain to you right now. So the easiest thing you can always do, yourself at home if you're watching any tape like this, well, first thing you're going to look at is the safeties post-rotation. And we can see very clearly that the free safety and strong safety, they are splitting a 50% of the deep field responsibility. Now, if this was cover 6, what you'd be seeing is one of the corners would be dropping back to share 1/4 with one of the safeties, where they would be splitting the deep half of the field into 4ths on one side, where one of the other safeties would be splitting into a deep half. A half responsibility for one, 1/4 for a corner, 1/4 for a safety who was cover 6. We can clearly see, though, this is a cover 2. Now, to analyze what went wrong in real time, number one, Jordan Love does not identify properly who's going to be dropping into coverage. But not only that, credit, Brian Flores on this. 2 guys dropping from the same gap, where one of them is going to be on the complete opposite hash of where the ball is going, and then be able to make the play on the ball as Grugier-Hill does here. I mean, this is an amazing play from a linebacker. But, to Jordan Love, and what went wrong with Jordan Love is, well, you can't just assume that Grugier-Hill's not going to fill that spot. You still got to turn your head and make sure that nobody's coming to undercut that ball, which is exactly what happened. But again, more than anything, just an amazing play from Grugier-Hill and an amazing design from Brian Flores on this. Again, before we get to breaking it down, we're going to watch the play at full speed, analyze it. We'll get to breaking it down immediately afterwards. So just soak it in, watch the play. All right, so again, same concept here. We got to identify potential blitzers, who might be hot as our receivers, and we can see we're looking at a 7-man box here. So that means 7 guys that potentially could be coming hot. And, again, you could sit here and say, oh, well, what if, this slot defender's hot? But again, that's not likely, and it wouldn't make any sense because, again, either tight end would be wide open on something like the flat, wide receiver something right outside. Whoever's not covered is going to be open over here, so it's just very likely to assume that's not the case. So again, seven guys we got to identify, and all 7 of them could be coming. One of them could be coming. And that's what makes this Vikings defense hard to figure out, is that they do a really good job of mixing it up and not letting you know who's going to be coming. So the next thing that we can identify here pre-snap, pretty clearly, is that we're looking at some type of cover 3. And the reason that we can assume that is because we have a free safety up top, and yes, albeit that he is playing more towards one side and one hash than the other right now, it's safe to assume he'll rotate more to the middle. And with that being said, also, another reason we can pretty safely identify that is we're going to look at the 2 corners that are approximately, 7, 8, 9 yards off the ball here, and we're going to say, well, because that's the case, they're probably very likely going to drop back, right, play those deep thirds. And again, same concept where the safety 1/3, the other 2 corners sharing a third, splitting that field like that. And then with other, defenders coming to occupy the seams, and then someone coming to occupy the middle. But what you're going to see here post-snap is we get something a little interesting that maybe you didn't see coming, and Jordan Love most definitely did not see coming. So funny enough, what we end up getting is a cover 3 fire zone, meaning that one of the outside linebackers is dropping into coverage, and we're going to have one of the middle linebackers or interior linebackers coming on a blitz. And, to clarify before we get into it, the funny thing about this is Jordan Love actually ends up making the proper read. But the point here is that the pressure gets home quickly enough and with enough force that it forces Jordan Love to throw an inaccurate ball, which is going to lead to a turnover, as we're going to see here shortly. Now again, we're going to watch this play 2 times here at speed, but there's one very little detail I want you to notice that really makes this blitz and really makes it just the magic that we're seeing. Now again, little details. I want you to pay attention to the right side linebacker. Take a little step forward right here, but so you think it's Jordan Love, you're like, okay, that's our blitzer, right? No, it's actually the guy that did nothing. And again, Jordan Love makes the proper read, but an accurate ball, turnover. Also, good blocking from the defense here, might add. They were prepared. All right, third and final play I wanted to chop up and discuss with you guys today. Get a look at it in full speed, and we're going to get to discussing what went wrong here for the Packers and what went right for the Vikings. All right, so again, pre-snap, we got to identify who could be hot as our receivers, who could be coming hot on defense. So, number one, I'm seeing 7 potential guys that could be coming hot, right? We got a 7-man box, they're all up at the line of scrimmage. It's hell for a quarterback. We got to figure out where we're going. So again, if you're thinking anything like I'm thinking now, after what we just analyzed last play, well, we can pretty safely assume again right here, this is some type of cover 3 shell. Why can we assume that? Again, much like last play, even though the safety is leaning towards, the free safety, one hash more than the other, well, it's safe to assume he'll play that middle deep, and then despite that the corners are sharing different depths, right? One's about 5-6 yards off the receiver, one's about 10 yards off. Well, again, that's just good defensive variation, good coverage variation from Brian Flores, which is something you got to do as a defensive coordinator. But again, we can safely assume looking at this shell it is some type of cover 3 or some type of cover 3 blitz. Now, the problem is, again, though, who's coming, who's not? That's the question you got to answer as the quarterback that nobody's been able to figure out this year. Well, immediately upon seeing this, we're saying, oh, we got 7 blitzers. Guess what? Wrong. What actually ends up happening is we have 6 blitzers where one of these interior backers is going to drop into a middle hook zone over here, albeit he drops, relatively late and actually leaves, the tight end pretty wide open. But as we see here, Jordan Love makes a terrible read, which is going to lead to a turnover. Yeah, again, watch the play here a couple times at full speed. Now you can see, again, the Tucker Kraft tight end does come wide open. You just get some depth on that ball, some touch. That's a completion, first down. Again, bad read. Throws the fade to Dontavian Wicks right down the sideline where the corner's playing. Over the top leverage. Wins on that completely. Makes a great play on the ball. But the bottom line is, as much as that's on Jordan Love, it's also on this Vikings defense for making Jordan Love second guess where he's going, which they've done to every quarterback they've faced this year. Make no mistake. This Vikings defense is legit. They are coming with different schemes every week. They're switching it up. Credit to Brian Flores where it's due. Who's going to be the first to figure out this Vikings defense? I guess we're going to have to wait and see.